What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Breaking and Entering podcast. For the first time in about 19 years, we have back-to-back champions. The Chiefs beat the 49ers 25-22 overtime. Brandon, how you doing today, man? You see any of that game last night?
Happy, but life goes on.
Yeah, I hear you. We're going to get into this show today, but let's get started with the opening drive, shall we?
All right, everyone. Former Ravens and 49ers offensive coordinator Greg Roman, he's headed to the Chargers to be their offensive coordinator. He's going to replace Kellen Moore. Amazon will host an NFL playoff game next season. Real Madrid Stadium will also host an NFL game in 2025. That's 2 years out. Dante Hightower, he's returning to the Patriots to become their linebackers coach. He, of course, played there from 2012 to 2019. He opted out in 2020 because of COVID, and he played one more season in 21 before retiring. The Eagles, they reportedly gave Hassan Reddick, their premier pass rusher, a thumbs up to seek a trade. We'll see how that pans out. The Steelers, they've released quarterback Mitch Trubisky and two other players today. And the Cowboys, they're bringing back Mike Zimmer as their defensive coordinator. He, of course, spent 1994 to 2006 in Dallas as a assistant coach.
Gotcha. We're going to get into the Super Bowl recap right away. Before we do that, let's get this episode being sponsored by Premium, a CBD and health wellness company. Check out their line of CBD-infused products, which are perfect after-workout refuel for athletes, a pain reliever for weekend warriors, and either a natural sports drink for us armchair quarterbacks. Their featured product is CBD-infused honey, which is a personal favorite of mine, as well as tinctures and mint and natural flavors. They are veteran, woman, and minority owned, so come get some of the sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is premium.com. And now let's get back to our show. Brandon, I'm going to let you go first, man. Get it out the way. What did you think of this game last night?
First of all, got to give hats off to the Chiefs. No matter how salty I am, how pissed I am with the AFC Championship, another Super Bowl title in the Mahomes Reed regime. These guys really, truly are something special. You can't take that away from them. I said it time and time again. They're damn near unstoppable when they defer that opening kick. Doesn't seem like a big thing, but it just seems to like put pressure on the other team, even though Purdy and them came out and kind of like did really good in that first quarter and responded to that, that point that I'm talking about. But that's exactly what happened in this one. I thought it would be a defensive battle. It kind of did turn out to be. The San Fran pressure on Mahomes was really immense to start the game. They were making life miserable for him with only that front four, Chase Young, Bosa, Hargrave, and those guys there. Offensively, Purdy, calm, cool, and collected. Their first drive, he hit Ray McLeod for a big 3rd and 9, kept that drive going, ultimately stalled. They settled for the field goal. Of course, they made history with that field goal. It was erased a little bit later in the game. We'll get to that shortly. Then you had the double pass touchdown from Jawan Jennings to Christian McCaffrey. Two big blocks on that play. It was almost intercepted. And next thing you know, Christian McCaffrey was running into the end zone untouched. But then the light kind of switched for Kansas City. Greenlaw got injured on a freak incident. We don't see that type of stuff that happens. He was jumping around, running, celebrating that change of possession. Kelsey got into the face of Andy Reid, damn near knocked him off his feet. We all saw the memes of AJ Brown saying he would have got kicked out of the league if he did something like that, and he probably does have a valid point. And then Kyle Shanahan again ahead in another Super Bowl, and those type of things just don't seem to go in his favor. We saw it, the Patriots and the Falcons years ago. We saw it the 49ers and his 49ers and the Chiefs 4 years ago, and the same outcome this time. Mahomes started using his legs a little bit more in that second quarter, late second quarter, early third, and on. He was going east to west to like begin the game. It was more so running away from the pressure, and then he started going north and south. He ended up leading that game for the Chiefs in rushing. Kelsey came alive in the second half, and San Fran made even more mistakes throughout the game. The punt that hit Daryl Lauder um, in the lower body, I think it was the third quarter. Ray McLeod, he tried to get his hands on it, but he couldn't recover it. That set up Mahomes and them right dead in the red zone there, or deep in San Fran territory. Literally, the next play, he hit MVS for that touchdown wide open in the end zone. San Fran's offense was held in check most of the second half of the game. Um, it was one play I remember watching. I was like, damn, like, why can't we be successful with it? They hit um, Steve Spagnuolo called a defensive back blitz, and the DB didn't hit, like, he hit Mahomes at the end, but he didn't sack him. Didn't hit Purdy. Um, Purdy got rid of it. It was an incomplete pass, and I'm like, why couldn't that work for us? Like, that's something that I've been critical about our defensive coordinators calling the past several years, and it couldn't, you know, it just seemed like everything was going in their favor there. Uh, and then the mixed extra point for San Francisco that came back to haunt them as well, because at the end, all Kansas City needed was that 3-point field goal to send it to overtime. Coupled with the fact they left Mahomes with 2 minutes and two timeouts, the opportunity again to send it to overtime. We've seen him do it in 13 seconds. We knew he was going to do it with just under 2 minutes and timeouts. I think a lot of people was critical for Kyle Shanahan for taking the ball first in overtime. Honestly, I feel like the defense was kind of tired. They needed a break. I don't hold that against him. I think that I would have done the same thing as well. I think I would have tried to get ahead and put the pressure on Mahomes, even though they drove 75 yards for that touchdown, whatever, to win the game. But when you're playing somebody like Mahomes, I think you got to put the pressure on them. Don't let them put the pressure on you. And either way, they got stalled and kicked the field goal. Mahomes went down the field like it was nothing, got the touchdown, won the game, of course. But a couple points that I've been thinking about. Kansas City won their first ever Super Bowl in Vegas. I know Raiders fans are probably a little bit pissed off that they won on their home field, but luckily it wasn't against them, obviously, because they're in the same conference. San Fran forced 2 turnovers and they failed to capitalize off them. When you get those turnovers against Kansas City, they're a team that don't turn over the ball much. They don't make those mistakes. We saw that Pacheco fumble early in the game as well. They failed to capitalize off that. We saw the Mahomes interception straight out of halftime, failed to capitalize off that as well. You got to get touchdowns when they make those mistakes. And then again, Kyle Shanahan, yet again, he squandered a chance to become the first father-son duo with his, your former head coach, Mike Shanahan. Of course, it was in Denver, but they would have been the first father-son duo to win Super Bowls as coaches, and he again squandered that. So yeah, again, hats off to the Chiefs. Congratulations. Great game. We both pretty much picked them, but yeah, it's reality now. They're officially a dynasty, and now they're talking about a three-peater already. I saw a headline earlier. I turned the game off right after it happened. I didn't even know who won Super Bowl MVP until this morning. So yeah, congratulations to the Chiefs. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. Kadarius Toney, we talked about that. He was a healthy scratch. Didn't play. Guess that worked out for the Chiefs. I was surprised when the Niners got the ball and McCaffrey fumbled in that first half, that first quarter. That was really shocking. I thought, what was going to happen? But it looked like both of these teams, that first half, they were kind of fighting nerves. I don't know what you want to call it, but the defenses definitely were playing better in that first half against the offense, specifically the Niners. I mean, that first quarter, I think Brock Purdy had like 120 yards passing, and the whole Chiefs offense had like 6 yards. They couldn't stay on the field to save their lives. I thought at first, I was like, are the Niners going to run away with this? They had a 10-point lead, but they had a 10-point lead when they played the first time 4 years ago, and the Chiefs came back and won. So you mentioned that Dre Greenlaw injury. I saw they showed the replay of that. I really think that had a huge impact on the game. I can't remember the guy's name who came in to take over for Greenlaw. He didn't do too bad, but you could tell that the Chiefs was targeting him a little bit when Kelsey was matched up on him. That started getting him going a little bit more too. That was just, like you said, a freak type of play, man. I mean, it wasn't even a play. It looked like he was pumped to get back on the field. He's jumping up. He planted that foot down and unfortunately towards Achilles, man. So that was really unfortunate. I think the turning point, you mentioned it, was definitely that punt return fumble where it hit the defenders or the blockers' leg, and I thought McLeod should have just fell on it. He tried to pick it up and do what he did, but if he would have fell on it, I think they would have been all right. But like you said, Chiefs got the ball, and soon as that next play, MVS scored on the touchdown. In our preview show, I was saying I thought Mahomes would get the ball last and drop down the field and break people's hearts. I predicted it was going to be 21-17. I got the score wrong, but I kind of got the game plan right. So if y'all want to say it's scripted, a lot of people say, oh, it's a script. It was a script. I guess I had the script a little bit. I just didn't get the score right. But yeah, man, definitely was a defensive battle. You know, the San Francisco 49ers, I thought Steve Wilkes did a pretty decent job for the most part, keeping Mahomes and the offense contained. Like you said, that front four was doing all they could to put pressure on Mahomes. Chase Young got a sack. Eric Armstead, he was getting pressure. So he got a sack as well. They did a really good job of keeping Mahomes in a pocket at first. Didn't let him scramble outside, but eventually Mahomes did Mahomes things. And he made some big plays. You could say the biggest plays with his legs. He had a big run. I think it was either the fourth quarter and overtime where he ran up the middle for about 22 yards. And there was a 4th and 1 play or a 4th and short where he took the ball like a out or like a bootleg, whatever you want to call it, and ran for about 8 yards with Travis Kelce leading the way. But yeah, man, this game, I was on the edge of my feet, edge of my couch watching this game. I was like, I really wanted Trent Williams to win one just because he's a Commanders and all the stuff he went through dealing with our clown ass franchise at the time. And I was hoping he'd win, but he had I was getting kind of worried with him because in the first quarter, the first half, he had that false start. I think he also had a holding call as well. I was like, dang, Trent. But he kind of, after that, didn't really hear too much about him as far as bad plays, if you want to get involved. But yeah, man, that, like you said, Jake Moody missing that extra point. If he would have made that, I think I don't want to say that. He ain't had a chance to win MVP, but like you said, he almost would have broke the record. Harrison Butker came back and broke it with a 57-yarder, but Jake Moody had 2 field goals over 50 yards. One was 55 yards, one was 53 yards. But this is going to sting for the Niners, man. I saw Deebo Samuel on the bench after the game, just sitting there, soaking it all in. Seems like Eagles players were very happy with that outcome because Fletcher Cox, he made a couple of Instagram posts about it. I would say they're kind of not safe for work. Fuck it, I'm gonna say it anyway. He basically told him, I got something you got. Basically pointing out he's got a ring. He said EAD, which means eat a dick. So yeah, there's definitely no love lost between those two. If they play next year, I wonder how that matchup is go. If Deebo Samuel's gonna be pumped up for that. But yeah, man, on a Chiefs side, it was kind of funny. I saw a post that kind of made me roll my eyes. Like, was it a House of Highlights? They had 2 pictures, one of Mahomes on the ground, like rolling around after the his win, and then they had another picture of Michael Jordan when he was on the ground. If anybody's seen The Last Dance, that audio and video, Michael Jordan on the ground holding the trophy, but he was crying, and he was crying because that was Father's Day, and his dad just was murdered. So I didn't really like that comparison. I mean, I get it, 2 really good players, but one's a GOAT in his sport, in my opinion. The other is on his way to being a sport. But I was like, come on, y'all. That's getting a little out of hand already. But Mahomes is well on his way, man. I mean, 3 Super Bowls MVPs, only 28 years old. Andy Reid said he's coming back. Travis Kelce said he's coming back. So, like you said, they talking about 3-peat. I think they got a really good chance to compete. That defense, hats off to them. I think they said Steve Spagnuolo is the first coordinator of 4 championships for Super Bowl. So salute to him. But man, that defense, they showed up and showed out. I want to give a lot of credit to Chris Jones. He might have not showed up a lot in the stat sheet, but if he didn't get those, there were certain plays where he didn't get a pressure on Brock Purdy. It kind of looked like he was broke scot-free and got at him with pressure. I think Brock Purdy would have either had a touchdown or made a major play that would have changed the course of the game for the Niners, man. And Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, all you guys, salute to you. That secondary did a great job for the most part, keeping those guys contained. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Juwan Jennings. He's the second player in Super Bowl history to catch a touchdown and throw a touchdown, along with Nick Foles a few years ago with the Eagles. But yeah, man, I had a feeling. I said, Mahomes got that ball, and like you said, he drove down the field, hit McCole Hartman for that touchdown at the end of the game. And it's kind of funny. A lot of people are ripping the Niners because I guess after the game, a lot of players is like, well, we didn't really know the overtime rules. And my thing is, like, it really didn't matter if they did know or not. I mean, Chiefs scored a touchdown, that was the end of the game. So I don't think it really mattered. And I was about to say something else that I completely just lost my train of thought on. Gosh darn it. But yeah, man, just overall, really good game. This is a Super Bowl I'll probably remember for a really long time. And yeah, man, just a great game. Just a great game for real.
The they're talking about three-peat already. They're got to be favorites before free agency and draft even starts because I mean, look at it. They won last year. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, and we wasn't sure how they was going to handle that from an offensive standpoint. And then this year, the receivers were dropping balls all over the place. Eric Bieniemy leaves town, and you know, some people was like, "Oh, they going on the road in the playoffs. They're gonna, how they gonna react to that?" And they dominate us. They beat Buffalo pretty good, and they handled the best team in the NFC. So, I mean, unfortunately, it's looking like they're going to be favorites now. I mean, they got to, in my opinion. And again, I don't like them at all, but they're favorites for me right now, ahead of free agency and draft. So,
Yeah,
Andy Reid's coming back, like you said. Kelsey's coming back. Obviously, Mahomes going to be there. As long as you got those three, you pretty much got a shot. I mean, this year tells a lot on that. The defense was top of the line, but offensively, they weren't that same Chiefs offense, and they still won the damn Super Bowl. So,
yeah,
yeah.
they're way more balanced team now. I do remember Chris Jones. You say you turned a game off right after the conclusion of the game. Chris Jones, he gave some props to the Ravens, and I think he made a good point. He was like, we basically, the conference championship against the Ravens, we played the best team that he thought in the NFL. And I agree with that. I think that game pretty much helped them a lot in this game because that defense for the Ravens was top notch. And the Ravens made a lot of mistakes to lose that game. Sorry to bring this back up, but I really think that prepared the Chiefs more for winning this game against the Niners, just going up against a juggernaut and the Ravens. And yeah, man, I think Mahomes said it after the game. This is his most cherished, his best Super Bowl win in his opinion. So yeah, man, great
He
Super
went through
Bowl
a lot
though. That
this
was a
year.
great game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And your
For
boy
sure.
Zay Flowers, he went through a lot. Apparently, we were talking about. Sorry, I want to bring this up a little bit, but that stuff, whatever happened with his significant other or whatever, the girl, that happened before the conference championship game. I saw like a
Ooh,
little report about it. You can check it out on Instagram,
okay.
the DMV Daily. They posted some information about it, but apparently the events with him and the girl and whatever happened, that was before the conference championship. So yeah, I don't know if he had a lot on his mind, but kind of explains a little bit, in my opinion, of
Yeah.
him
That's perfect.
losing his damn mind in that game
Mhm.
and trying to do too much. But yeah, let's get back to the Super Bowl and the players who did the best in our opinions.
Makes sense. Yeah, let's talk about some player awards. They're gonna go my offensive player. I'm gonna split it. You mentioned Jawan Jennings, number 15 for San Francisco. He threw for a touchdown, caught a touchdown on Snead, a guy who didn't give up a passing touchdown in the regular season in his coverage. Um, like you said, only two guys in NFL history had a receiving touchdown and a passing touchdown in the Super Bowl. Him and Nick Foles, like you mentioned, back with the Eagles a few years back. And then, of course, the real number 15, Patrick Mahomes, 333 yards, two touchdowns. He did have that interception, but I mean, none of that interception didn't even matter at this point because they got the win. Obviously, 66 yards on the ground, led his team in rushing. So yeah, Both 15s, but the real 15 gets the edge for me. Patrick Mahomes. What about you?
Yeah, I got to give it to Patrick Mahomes. 333 passing yards, and he led the team in rushing. I, I, I feel like I might have said he's a good chance he'll lead the team in rushing in
Mhm.
our
I
preview
think so.
show. I think I might have said that too. But yeah, man, Patrick Mahomes, another legacy solidifying moment, man. He couple more of these. I don't even know if he has to pass Tom Brady in Super Bowl wins to be labeled a GOAT. I think he
Mhm.
might not need to get 7, but it looks
Yeah.
like he's well on his way, but we'll definitely see what happens with him in his career.
For sure. Defender, I'm going to go with George Karlaftis. I've been talking about him the past several weeks.
Mm.
Him and Chris Jones just to make a monster tandem up there. This guy was all over the place. He had a fumble recovery, 3 quarterback hits, 5 tackles, and a half a sack. It really didn't, the stat line, as good as that is, it didn't make up for as good as he was playing in that game. Um, very young player. I think he's in his second or third year, and he's got a bright future ahead. He's a leader on that defense there. George Kaloftis. What about you?
I gotta honestly, I gotta give it to the whole defense, including
Mhm.
Steve Spagnuolo. I think he caught a great game. That blitz at the end of the game, well, not at the end of the game, to force the Niners to kick a field goal when he sent who was it? I think it was my guy McDuffie on a blitz maybe, and he forced Purdy to throw before he ready, and he batted the ball down too. Chris
Mhm.
Jones, like I mentioned earlier, just pressuring the hell out of Purdy, getting to him, making him throw the ball before he wanted to. Trent
Yeah,
McDuffie, I think he was the one who batted that ball down from Debo Samuel, where Brock Purdy tried to
his
connect to him
corner,
on that
man.
long pass play. But that whole defense, man, they showed up ready to play. It was bend, don't break type of defense. And then when they needed to get a stop, when it mattered the most, they got to stop to get off the field and let Mahomes do what Mahomes do. So I got to get that whole defense, including Spagnola, the defensive team.
I had to change my whole picks for all these offensive, defensive, special teams. 'Cause my defensive was the entire 49ers unit before Kansas City won this game. So yeah. Um, let's talk about special teams. I'm gonna go with Harrison Butker. He was perfect all night, 4 for 4 field goals, and a Super Bowl record 57 yarder. Um, again, set the record for the longest field goal in Super Bowl history. I would assume yours is the same.
Mine is a little different. I'm gonna kind of do what you did with the offensive player of the week and split it. I'm gonna give it to both punters. It's kind of crazy because they both have 5 punts.
Yeah,
You look at their average; they both had the same average, 50.8 yards per punt. Specifically, Tommy Townsend though, he got a couple of boomers. I think his longest was 62 yards, and then he had that one punt that you know luck or whatever you want to call it bounced off the guy's
mhm,
ankle, and the Chiefs were able to recover. So I'm gonna give it to both punters, Mitch Wishnowski for the Niners and Tommy Townsend for the Chiefs.
got you. My bonehead, it took me a while. I actually didn't have one heading into this morning until I saw the headline that the 49ers players didn't know the new overtime rules. So
Mm,
I give it to the players and the coaches, more so the coaches, because the coaches should have them um, prepared for these type of situations. But all I think about when overtime happens and it's like a close game, like obviously this one wasn't going to end in a tie, but I think back to Donovan McNabb with the Eagles against the Bengals. I think we still was in high school, and he said he didn't know the game ended up in a tie. He said he didn't know the regular season game could end in a tie. So
mm.
yeah, that's mine. What about yours?
That sounds familiar. I think I gotta look that up now. That's funny. Um, Mine is actually gonna go to a Chiefs player, MVS Marquez Valdez Scantling. He caught a pass, and it could have been a 6 yard, 5, 6 yard reception gain, but he tried to do too much. The defender kind of slung him back, and then he started running backwards, and he ended up losing like 4 or 5 yards. After the play, you can see Chris Jones getting up off the bench, back putting his hands on his head like this, like, what the fuck are
Yeah,
you doing, man? And I just laughed. I thought that was hilarious. So
yeah.
MVS, you lucky that didn't come back to hunt you because I think people would have been killing you for that. But yeah, I gotta get my
Hmm.
bonehead played MVS Marquez Valdez Scantling for that one.
You're right. All right. So that's going to do it for this Super Bowl recap episode of B&E Podcast presented by Premium. One hell of a season. We got a lot to look forward to next fall. We'll be back throughout the all season, recapping the season, talking free agency and the draft. Until next time, love one another.